all we ever grew up knowing about where we came from was that there's wars and people are fighting each other and like they're so backwards. Like, and what kind of narrative what does that tell you about yourself when you're like, are these my ancestors? So also like there's a lot of just general like Islamic history or even like just history of the nations and spaces that we come from that is amazing and empowering and beautiful that is just not taught to us. It's not taught to anybody. What the narrative is that like the blame is on you, right? That the blame is on your religion, that the blame is on your culture, etc. That's not the case, and we can't constantly like be taught that and like have a disempowered idea of ourselves.
Can you tell me what the Arab American Association does in terms of, working hand in hand with the other organizations, and collaborating efforts? So, more manpower, more woman power, more success in the future.
Yeah, I mean, what you're pointing at is a big issue of how nonprofits often stagnate social movement because what happens is you start to specialize in everything that you do. So we're trying to change that model. With the association, we have services that we give, and that's part of the nonprofit structure, that people come in to get immigration services or legal services, healthcare services, etc. That's great. We're a service organization. But for the advocacy efforts, it's really, really important that we're not just kind of working in a silo, that we're not just working within ourselves. And so on every issue that we work with, whether that's police reform or immigration reform or combating Islamophobia, we work on we work on coalitions. Right. So for the police reform, right, actually, like, we got into the police reform because of the surveillance that was happening to the Muslim community, but then we aligned ourselves with all of these people who were working on stop and frisk, which is largely like Latinos, African Americans, homeless people, etc., like all these organizations that were working with these people, and we said, hey, like, we're experiencing very similar things, and this is all under like the idea of police reform, so we're going to align together. So we work on a coalition called Communities United for Police Reform. If you're just going to sit in an office and think you're organizing just because you're making up a lot of noise, that's not real organizing. That's not really moving people. And even as an organization, a nonprofit, we have clients who come in, and that's very different than having a membership base, right? That's very different than having a congregation base. And even like in mosques, when you mobilize your mosque, a lot of times institutions will just send the board to the table and be like, hey, come make this decision on behalf of the whole community, which I don't think is fair, right? Actually, you need to like talk to your congregation, see who's affected, see who wants to be part of this, and also get them to the table. That's what mobilizing community is about. And so I think that within all nonprofits or even like religious institutions, we need to rethink our ideas of what is community change and what is community power and who's involved in it and what does mobilization really mean. I think those are just not conversations that we have. Our idea of a leader is like the sheikh or like the person on the board or like the person who founded this organization. And like, yes, those are great people and they have built institutions and they must be respected, etc. But I think there's also an idea of who is affected in the community and who can do work and who wants to make change, and we all need to be involved in. I believe that when those things start to change, that like our community will shift a lot, and even like the policies and things we're affected by, will be shifting because you'll see community power.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.